Hello, Steve White, TrekBoy89 for SteveArts89. Well, SciTrek guy did an interesting video talking about an article on Red Shirts Always Die based on a theory from the Wrap, and it's all about suggesting Star Trek is profitable through streaming. It's not. Now, they were either being very naive or being very deceptive with their ideas, and basically what they're saying is Star Trek has made $2.5 billion from streaming, so it's a hit. And I'm like, well, no. Because there's things they're not taking into account. Number one, they're not taking into account how much it costs Paramount per year to make Star Trek. And they're also not taking into account that Paramount doesn't get all the money from the streaming. Because although they have Paramount Plus, that doesn't make much. That makes so little that it's more profitable for them to sell Star Trek to other platforms than it is to just keep it on theirs exclusive and make money from their platform. It's supposed to be the home of Star Trek, but they license it out to everyone else, like Hulu and Netflix and Amazon. And those ones get more views. But that's where the 2.5 billion is really coming from. But yeah, so that's coming from old Star Trek shows though. Once upon a time, CBS, after UPN cancelled Star Trek, CBS inherited Star Trek, and they would just sit back and make billions of dollars without spending any money on new content. And then Paramount, and Netflix came to them and said, please, can you give us a license so we can make new Star Trek and make money off Star Trek and merchandise and everything? And they said no to Netflix, and to Paramount they said, yes, we'll sell you a license, but your Star Trek can't resemble our Star Trek. There can't be any brand confusion, so it has to look and be different. And they're like, great, we're going to make a better Star Trek. It's going to be dark and dystopian and action-orientated, and it's going to, get the general audience and make more money than your Star Trek ever did. That didn't happen. The films failed. The TV shows didn't really gain an audience. There's a small New Trek fan audience, and the rest is just people watching to criticize it, to critique it, to trash it, to hate watch it. Or just curious people who see it advertised on Netflix and looking for content, they'll watch it, they never go back to watch it again. Because there's nothing about the New Trek universe, which is dark and dystopian, or the characters, which are all negative and unlikable, that draws people back. People go back to the original Star Trek because that universe that Gene created, that utopian, beautiful, light universe, people want to go back to. They want to exist in that. They want to live in that. They want to prolong that experience and keep it alive with merchandising and revisiting the shows. And Star Trek always made a lot in syndication. It's made a lot on Netflix and other places for streaming. But then what happened was they wanted to set up their own streaming service. So they said, okay, Netflix, we're going to make our own show, and basically we will let you, show it internationally. And they charged them a fortune for all the old shows to keep syndicating them, and something for Star Trek Discovery, and they made so much money out of that deal that they're able to pay for like the first 2 seasons of Star Trek Discovery. And then when Netflix backed out because they weren't making any money and they realized they got sold a show that doesn't resemble Star Trek at all, and wasn't doing well, they sort of backed out slowly, and Amazon took over Picard, producing that for them, and they were getting New Trek shows but weren't really paying for it, and they were getting some profit back from showing their Star Trek shows on CBS All Access, but CBS All Access folded, and they set up Paramount Plus, and Paramount Plus didn't make enough from Star Trek that they could just have it be exclusive to them. They were still licensing it out to Amazon and Hulu and Netflix, and they make the money, and they just get the licensing fee, because that's how it works. You pay a licensing fee, and you hope that you make more money than the licensing fee, and you earn a profit. And Paramount doesn't get a percentage of that profit. They just get the licensing fees. So they're not getting that $2.5 billion. They're only getting some of that because Netflix and Hulu and Amazon are making more money out of showing Star Trek and streaming Star Trek than Paramount Plus is. So yeah, there's some percentage of New Trek fans who are watching the show, but the most who are watching the new shows really are just haters and reviewers and people who watch once out of curiosity and don't go back. So they're not getting the reviews, they're not getting the big views, and they're not really making the money because they're spending so much on New Trek shows, around 10 million an episode. Now the SciTrek guy was being generous and rounding down to like 900 or something, but no, they're 9 million. They're making like episodes for like $10 million. So a season of Star Trek is like $100 million. So he was estimating 614 million for all the shows that have been produced, seasons that have been produced and screened up until this point, or up until 2024 or something. But if you add in the money they spent on Strange New Worlds up to date, all the other shows up to date, Lower Decks, Prodigy, the 2 seasons of Starfleet Academy we haven't seen yet but has been paid for, Section 31. I'm thinking it's more like $700-900 million that they've spent on Star Trek in the last 4 years, but they haven't made anywhere near that profit because the people who are profiting, they're only getting the licensing fee from, and the profit they're getting is so small. So I don't believe they're making money at all. And it's just sad because if they cancelled the new Trek shows and just kept pushing the old Star Trek, they'd be making billions of dollars and not spending anything like CBS was before all this. So if they start making new Trek shows that actually make money, then they'll be balancing out and they'll be making some money. But at the moment, I don't believe they're profitable. Certainly not from new Trek. It's interesting to look at though.